As tertiary education becomes more accessible to Mauritians, the choice also grows wider for various fields of study. Some specializations need to be acquired in foreign land, and students need to know where they can find the best match. Various counseling institutions are here to help and assist students and their parents in choosing a suitable tertiary education abroad. Ovec, the Overseas Education Center found in Mocha, has been advising parents and students since 20 years, and they can see changes in the trend as Mauritians rate Canada and Australia higher for tertiary education. Mrs. Corona Osman from the Waterloo University from Canada. So basically now we see Mauritians wanting to go to Canada. And what has made Canada become like this?
I believe opportunity for quality of education and work after post-education attracts Mauritian students to go there. Also very multicultural society, welcoming students from all cultures, making it possible for students to call Canada their home, availability of space, fresh water, air, lifestyle. There are many reasons why people choose Canada. Certainly cold weather is not one of them, but that weather is also very easily solved by warm buildings, warm cars, warm transportation. Students pay less attention to weather but more attention to quality of opportunities for education and for work. And we have what is called cooperative education, where students spend 6 terms working and putting their work, their learning into work, experiential learning, which actually is in almost all institutions in Canada. I'm not unique in the opportunities I provide at University of Waterloo. I want to tell you one thing, one statement. Quality of education in Canada is universally good. It will be cost factor, the kind of degree they want to do. Waterloo has become very popular because of the 6 terms of cooperative education.
So we're going to move to Humber, Mr. Alexander Propenko. So what are you proposing to Mauritian students?
Well, I just wanted to build on what Karuna was saying, is that I think the attractiveness of Canadian education system is the multiple entry and exit points for students at various levels of their studies and their career development. So therefore, whether you just finished high school or you already had some post-secondary education, there are many options for you to continue developing your academic standards, developing your career. And I think the great flexibility of Canadian education system allows students to come in and come out at various points of their academic level and to advance their career. So that is what's so attractive in my understanding. Mm-hmm. And in terms of Humber Institute of Technology, we're a hybrid between a college and university. So we applied strong fundamentals in terms of academic studies and lots of applied opportunities for students, applied learning opportunities for students to get practical work experience before they graduate. We are a comprehensive post-secondary institution located in Toronto, home to a very large Mauritius community. I happened to visit City Hall of Toronto last year when there was a flag-raising ceremony. It was great to see so many countrymen joining everybody. Doesn't matter how cold it was. I think it was January. Everybody were dressed warm and everybody were enjoying the Mauritius moment downtown Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Now we move to the Kwantland Polytechnic University, Mr. Rodolfo Torrezan. What is the difference between a university and polytechnic?
Well, a polytechnic type of studies were very hands-on applied learning. So we teach students on professional careers and we prepare them for the work market. Different than traditional university, who are, some of them are very focused on the academy, on the research.
Mm-hmm. And for Mauritians to go to Canada, to adapt, I mean, living Mauritius, a small island, tropical island, you see sea everywhere, and go into a big country where you have to travel a lot to see what we see. So how do you see it? Do people really adapt easily?
They do, actually. Our university is based on the west coast, the metro region of Vancouver. We have about 2.5 million, and it's a region surrounded by nature. So we have mountains, oceans, and rivers all over the place. It's not as cold as people may think. The average temperature during winter is about 7 degrees. So it's fairly easy to adapt. I myself came from Brazil about 4 years ago as a student, and right after graduation, I began a job with KPU, and here I am.
So, Mr. Ernest de Mali, we're just talking about students adapting,
Yeah.
but inside the university, is there any kind of facilities offered to the student to accompany them on the university?
Absolutely. So I'm just going to use myself as an example. I did grow up in Ghana, so I came to Canada as an international student myself. The transition, especially for University of Guelph, it's one that I highly recommend, because even generally within most institutions within Canada, so just to add voice to what my colleagues were saying, there is that room that we receive diversity, but also I help the students right from the time they get online through the student services, right till they complete. In my experience at the University of Guelph, I definitely speak highly of the Office of Intercultural Affairs. So having been an international student, so everything, I've had quite a number of students come. So how can I translate when I come? Is there a possibility to apply for permanent residency? It's absolutely yes, because I went through the same system. The most important thing is I encourage students, once you get in on the land, just focus to complete your degree, because once you are done, there is a process well laid out from immigration where you can apply for your post-graduation work permit. Within the period of the 3 years or 2 years, depending on what you receive, then you can start towards your permanent residency.
Okay, let's go to Australia now. Australia is very popular for Mauritian students, and according to you, and Monash as well is very well known in Mauritius. According to you, what has made this very popular?
Well, one of the key reasons I think in Mauritius is that there is a very large Mauritian community in Melbourne. And so Monash and also the University of Melbourne have become very, very popular in Australia. Like Canada, Australia is a very welcoming country. You will find that 1 in 3 people was not born in Australia, and 1 in 3 people, their parents were not born in Australia. So it's a very inclusive and welcoming community. Students can stay and work in Australia when they have finished, which is also a draw card. But I think one of the major things is that most of the universities see employability as a key to success. And so they work very closely with industry to ensure that students will be employable when they graduate.
And well, what about the quality of the courses, the quality of education provided by the
Quality of education is high, and to come back to Monash, for example, we are a member of the Group of 8, and the Group of 8 are the top 8 research universities in the country, and I think that's another reason students will go there. But I think the draw card for Monash is the fact that it has double degrees. So with 1 year extra study, students can come out with 2 separate degrees, which means they can either continue to follow their interests until they're a little older and know what they want to do, or they can strategically say, if I do this degree and this degree as a double degree, I'm more employable, I have a broader skills base. Lastly, they have of course the support of the Mauritian community.
Mr. Gary G. So from China we see is becoming popular right now, and of course we've got this relationship between China and Mauritius, government to government, which is providing scholarships and all that. But what do you see during the years you've been here? How do you see the movement of Mauritian students towards China?
You know, because of the two nations relationship, and then the road and Road and the Belt Initiative, I think more Mauritian students are coming to China, and the Chinese government provides Mauritian students with a lot of generous scholarships for them to study in the country. And then our university is kind of like a joint venture university between the UK and the Chinese university. So this offers students a lot opportunity to get a UK degree at a very quite comparatively lower price after they graduate from the university. And that's at the same time because we are in the east of China. So this area is more developed compared to the other parts of China. So it offers the students the currently I think the opportunities to intern in the companies, something like that. And then at the same time, because we are providing students with the understanding China courses and then Chinese language courses. So we prepared them to be, for example, in the future, the Chinese ambassadors in their home countries to strengthen the relationships between the two countries and more networking, broaden broaden the networkings between the two countries, something like that.
You see, in China, we used to think that language is an important barrier. And how do you accompany them to break this barrier?
Actually, the courses, the programs are taught in English, 100% of them. At the same time, we offer students, free Chinese languages to prepare them to have a better life in China when they stay there. And then in daily life now, I don't know whether you heard of, for example, Alibaba in Tmall or in JD, and the Didi Chinese version of Uber. So life in China is quite easy, I think. Students can use the English version app on their mobile phone, and then most of the time, I don't think the students have any problem with living in China, communication with the other people, and the location. We are in the east of China. It is more developed, so we have a lot of foreigners living, working in that part of China. So it is easy to communicate with foreigners and even the local people, because the education level is quite higher.
Daoud, you are promoting the Cologne business school in Mauritius. Just like I said, German is not the main language we speak here. Not one of the main languages, at least. English and French is mostly. So what could be attractive to Mauritians who want to go to study in Germany?
Yeah, actually, to study in Germany, you must not necessarily have to study in German. We are a university whereby we offer study programs completely in English, but then we support our students also to learn German language alongside their study. So it means even for Mauritians, it's become more attractive because you're coming from a place where you could speak English and French. So by the time you get to Germany and you're able to study in English and then acquire the German language, then the sky is your limit. So currently in Germany, the educational standard is of high quality. Germany is known for technology, innovation, research and development, and they're actually using education to drive all this in the economy. And I'm sure that people coming to acquire the German education will be able to stand anywhere in the world to compete for any role. And that's what Germany offers. And we are also one of the top business schools in Germany. The quality of education at our university is well recognized worldwide. And then I can assure students that if you have acquired a degree from the CBS Cologne Business School, you would fit perfectly into any job role afterwards.
Right now, we're seeing Eurozone is going through a slowdown. They have forecast the growth. And will that have impact on the education sector as well?
The German economy has always been very, very buoyant. They've got what it takes to drive the country for the next 50 years. They've structured a lot of things internally to make sure that every external aggression will have no impact on Germany. And I can tell you that there's also a very wide door that has been opened for international students in terms of career. There's a gap in the labor market now. There are so many jobs in Germany, and there are fewer people to take up those jobs. And that's why I would encourage students to come and study, acquire the degree. You will be able to gain the language experience. You also gain the cultural experience that would make you fit perfectly into any job role in Germany. I also am not a German, you can see. I migrated to Germany many years ago. I studied there, and I was able to get something perfectly for myself. So I will encourage people, because the skills, the training, the education you will acquire, it's of high standard.
Mrs. Doris Chitson, you've been running the Ovec for a number of years now, and what, according to you, has been the trend regarding tertiary education? What countries top the list?
Well, the trend keeps changing every year. It's been 20 years I've been in this business, I would say, and now Canada tops everything. You've got Canada and then Australia. Why? Because those two countries offer the Mauritians work options, work permits. Like in Canada, you've got 3 years work permit after your studies, plus the permanent residence is nearly automatic. And then you've got Australia, you've got 2 years work permit after your studies, and then the permanent residence is on a case-to-case basis, depending on the priority list, but most of my students have managed to stay there. I don't say Mauritians should go there, but they've got the options of coming back home with money and experience and develop further Mauritius. That's a great thing for Mauritius.
Mm-hmm. And we used to believe that UK once was the top destination. What has happened?
Yeah, it used to be. because we've all done British education, Cambridge exams, but the problem is a few years back now that UK has stopped the 2 years work permit that it gave to Mauritians. So the parents think that investing so much to go there and then you're sent back home soon afterwards, you don't have work opportunities, and so they prefer to go elsewhere to those 2 other countries I've just mentioned, where they also got the option of getting the permanent residency and jobs, of course.